You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday, happy Mars Day, and happy first quarter moon in Virgo. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to give you a little mini horoscope for each sign under the first quarter moon, something to keep in mind this week as you begin to take action. Now, some days we don't have a lot of notable birthdays to celebrate, but today is not one of those days. This is a day where many Geminis are celebrating their solar returns, and there will be a lot of names you recognize here. So for starters, Prince would have celebrated a birthday today. Liam Neeson, Emily Ratajkowski, Iggy Azalea, Michael Cera, Tom Jones, Dean Martin, Allen Iverson, Bill Hader, Bear Grylls, Fetty Wap. Anyone else? Jordan Clarkson, Sway Lee, I don't know. But yeah, talk about a popular birthday. Lots of Geminis celebrating. And if you are celebrating a birthday today as well, let us know in the comments, or if someone special to you is celebrating their solar return, we would love to give them a shout out. So, full disclosure, Mercury retrograde has still been acting up. We're in Mercury shadow period. So this morning, my internet was out. I've had a couple tech glitches over the past couple days. And so just a reminder that we're still in Mercury retrograde's shadow period, something to keep in mind over the next week and a half. Just if you run into any tech glitches. I was talking with someone last week about how knowing what's going on with Mercury, knowing what's going on with the transits can be really helpful, because then you're not just like cursing, the universe, like, why is this happening to me? So just prepare yourself if there are any communication issues, tech glitches that you still run into. Yes, Fetty Wap, he's a Gemini. Many rappers are Geminis. Great lyricists are Geminis. I stand by that. All right, let's talk about what's going on with the moon today. So we do have the first quarter moon in Virgo, and the first quarter moon is when the moon looks like it's half lit in the night sky. It's a waxing moon, so it's when the moon is gaining light. And this is the point in the moon cycle when we're asked to take action, to start moving towards the intentions that we set under the new moon. The first quarter moon in Virgo brings a level of detail to these actions that we're taking. There's a lot of intention behind whatever we're doing, whatever choices we're making right now, because Virgos tend to be very meticulous, and Virgo energy is all about all the small parts that make up the big picture. So there's a lot of intention infused into everything that we're doing. We're very aware of how our small actions are building up together to create a bigger result. We have a lot of motivation today, kind of this urge to start something, do something under the first quarter moon, especially when it comes to tackling our to-do list, because we also know Virgos love a to-do list, right? And so if maybe you found yourself at the beginning of the week writing out or planning out all the things that you need to do, today is that day where you're like, okay, we're ready to jump into action. We're ready to make those things happen, start checking the boxes, crossing off the tasks. And we also have a tendency, though, towards perfectionism and criticism under the Virgo moon. As with any transit, there's a light and a shadow. So the light is we're feeling productive, we're feeling like this can-do attitude, we want to get it all done as efficiently as possible. But the shadow here is that, yes, we want to get it all done, but we often want to do it perfectly, and that can kind of hold us back or create can create some issues when you're in perfectionism mode. Trust me, I am a active recovering perfectionist. I don't know if I could call it recovering, to be honest. And then, Virgo's very analytical, this energy, and so there's a lot of processing we're still doing. We're very observant. Not only are we taking action and having this external force coming through us, but also we're taking in information as we take action. It's very multitasking. We're observing in real time how the moves we're making are affecting the people around us, are affecting the big picture. But again, going back to this criticism piece, it's really easy when we're in go mode and when we're being productive to look around at the people around us and say, why aren't you being as productive as I am? Why aren't you doing the things? Why aren't you helping me with this to-do list? Oh, and if you are helping me, why aren't you doing it right? Any Virgos or major Virgo placements out there will probably resonate with that. And again, I'm Virgo. So this comes from a place of love, I swear. Overall, though, this first quarter moon, there's a real pure nature to it. Again, going back to intentional action, because Virgo is the sign of the Virgin. It's the sign of purity. It truly wants to serve other people. And so, when we align with the energy of service, when we align with our pure intentions, it's easier to be less critical, be less of a perfectionist, as long as we know that the actions we're taking are aligned with purity, with our pure intentions. Yes, literally feel the action so much now. Like, okay, we're doing this. Yeah, I feel that too. I'm in an interesting spot though, Court, because I have intentionally decided to slow down a little bit right now in order to not burn out. But I am starting to feel that internal, like, okay, I'm ready to pick up the pace again, And as Mercury stations direct, it'll feel like the pace is picking up more and more over the next couple weeks, especially after next week and when Mercury moves into Gemini. So this is a really nice time to just start taking those actions, kind of lay the groundwork, if you will, for when Mercury starts to pick up. We have some shifts happening. So let's talk about the connections the first quarter moon is making today. Really quickly, at 5 a.m., the moon formed this uncomfortable angle to Chiron and Aries. So not quite an opposition, not quite a trine, just right in between. That was at 5 a.m. Pacific time. And that quincunx or inconjunct angle to Chiron, it could have brought up, if you were awake or if you were actively going about your day during this time, maybe if you live on the East Coast, you woke up under this energy. It could have brought up an issue of something that's unhealed or a pattern, maybe. The Virgo moon's big on patterns, maybe an awareness of a pattern that, is caused by some trauma or some pain. This isn't going to be like a major transit, but just think about this morning, if anything popped up for you, you can likely thank Chiron for that. And being overly critical or overthinking first thing this morning, likely symptoms of this uncomfortable angle between the moon and Chiron, maybe feeling emotions from an unhealed place, not being quite able to connect or be on the same playing field as Chiron. The moon and Chiron are kind of like having this hard time working together this morning. And then so much duality. Yeah, definitely feeling that as well. Okay, so the transit we're feeling right now and that we will feel through most of the day today is this trine between the moon and Uranus. So we're feeling it right now. It was exact at 7 a.m., but the moon over here in the teen degrees of Virgo, connecting in this flowing 120 degree angle to Uranus in Taurus. And so a trine, a 120 degree angle, allows these energies to flow together, to work together easily. However, Uranus is the planet of disruption and upheaval and change. So this is really setting the stage for changes to happen today. This is more likely to feel like starting to take action towards change or preparing for something bigger, because remember, Venus and Uranus form a conjunction this weekend. So we are very aware of this like Uranus activation that's happening where changes are coming. A square between the moon and the sun at the same time, that's what marks the first quarter moon, creates an energy of restlessness, maybe some tension between our emotions and our thoughts. We're not super attuned to our deepest emotions with the moon in Virgo. We're kind of more in our headspace. Virgo, again, is a very analytical energy. And so, it could be hard to like really tap into your true emotions right now. And you might kind of be stuck in your head, like feeling the need to make decisions or move forward, but not knowing exactly where we're going just yet, or understanding that there are changes that need to be made, but not knowing exactly how to make them. However, mostly just because it's like, is this aligned with my emotions, or am I just in my head? It's kind of like over-analyzing energy. But remember, we're not actually in control here. The Virgo moon likes to make us think that we're in control. We tend to be a little bit more controlling when there's a lot of Virgo energy in the stars, but we're not in control. And so really, I believe the best way to navigate today, this trine between the moon and Uranus, this sort of disruptive energy of change and shifts, is to flow, to just let them happen rather than trying to force action. This trine between the moon and Uranus is going to bring changes to you with ease. So there's really no need. Like, yes, you're feeling the urge to tackle the to-do list, to make the changes, to move towards the intentions you set. But I think you'll find that there could be surprises or opportunities or shifts or changes of plan that come up that make it a little bit easier for those changes to unfold without you really having to try or control or put a whole lot of effort into it. So be open to change. The nice thing about Virgo energy is that it's mutable, it's adaptable. So just kind of being observant, observing the changes happening around you rather than forcing them and trying to make them happen. Yeah, like not staying in the moment. That could definitely be a byproduct of today's energy because, like I said, the first quarter moon creates an energy of restlessness. Like we're thinking about the next thing. We're planning ahead with the moon in Virgo. It's very, like observing and making the plan and paying attention to all the little details. But it's like part of flowing rather than forcing is staying in the moment, is just being and allowing. And so that's something to keep in mind if you're having a hard time being in the moment today. At 4 p.m., the moon forms that same connection to the north node. So the moon, when it hits 21 degrees, will form a trine to the north node and a sextile to the south node. This is just kind of opening up the path, lighting the path of our purpose. So, whatever shifts and changes are happening today are helping us align with the direction we're supposed to be going, with the lessons we're supposed to be learning. And with this being a trine in earth signs, really all day, we're feeling that earth energy. The more we ground ourselves, the more we are in the present moment, in the 3D, the easier it will be to see the direction we're supposed to be going, to align with the changes that are happening. But like I said, the Virgo moon helps us stay adaptable, stay observant. So it's really just a matter of letting the universe show you what to do today. And then the last transit we'll talk about is, I think, kind of the most fun transit to talk about. This happens at midnight Pacific time tonight, and the moon, when it hits 25 degrees, will oppose Neptune. So many of us will be falling asleep or have been asleep for a couple hours. But when the moon opposes Neptune, you can think of an opposition like this make or break energy, like we're either hitting something face on, we're looking directly at it, or we're facing off against energy. So it's kind of either this, it's like magnetic, it's like push-pull energy, right? Now, when the moon opposes Neptune, especially those of us who are asleep at this time, pay special attention to your dreams. We've been having a lot of Neptune connections overnight, and I'm curious if you've been noticing more active or vivid dreams during this time. When the moon opposes Neptune, you can almost think of it as like looking into a mirror of your own subconscious. So setting an intention as you fall asleep to dream, or if there's something specifically you're trying to sort out in your waking life, you have the power to kind of sort it out in your dreams. So thinking about it while you fall asleep or setting an intention, I want to gain clarity about this situation through my dreams, could actually bring some powerful messages through. Really creating an intentional environment to fall asleep in is going to help you have a clearer dream state or remember your dreams. But it's important to keep in mind, take a look at the chart. So when the moon is, let me jump ahead a few more hours here so you can see. When the moon is opposing Neptune, it's also forming that uncomfortable angle to Saturn. So Saturn does have a little bit of an influence here. And remember, Saturn is now retrograde. And so your dreams could have a bit of like a negative influence in them. It could force you to kind of go back with Saturn retrograde, review some lessons through your dreams. Any sort of insecurities or faulty foundations in your life, anything that's not super sturdy or that's at risk of falling apart could come up in your dreams. So that could bring more negative dreams. But again, everything is a reflection of your subconscious. And hopefully, put a journal next to your bed, write about your dream right when you wake up tomorrow morning, and just see what comes through. Because like I said, we're starting to want to take action, but it's really easy to fall into this is what I should do under the Virgo moon, fall into expectation. And I was actually, a couple weeks ago, I took this master class, and the teacher said something to the effect of, should is just could with shame attached. And so remember, like if you're falling into that mindset today of trying to meet your own expectations or trying to meet other people's expectations under the Virgo first quarter moon, try to step back, get grounded, flow, and figure out what the universe is sending your way rather than kind of operating in this, like, this is what I should do. And tonight's dreams could help you kind of sort those things out. What's really aligned, what's true to you and what you want in the dreams, the waking dreams you're having for your life, versus are you just kind of on the conveyor belt of doing what you should do? So, and that can be confusing, right? That can be confusing in this very capitalistic society we live in. All the things we should do versus all the things we could do and all the things we want to do. Those are things to keep in mind today. Oh, snake eating you alive the other night. Wow, that's intense. Yeah, I would imagine. I'm not a fan of snakes, and I would not enjoy that dream. But snakes, this is a great example. Snakes are a symbol of transformation. And so it could be that you're kind of thinking about that dream and like, wow, it feels like the transformation I'm undergoing right now is eating me alive. It's totally consuming the version of me that I thought I was in order to birth a new version of me. That's just, one take on it. I'm a firm believer that you'll be able to decode your own dreams better than anybody else can. But a great example of the kinds of dreams you might have tonight that could show you what your subconscious mind is working through right now. And remember also, your subconscious mind isn't always correct, or it's not always true. You're strong enough to go through any transformation, and you are aligned enough to know that everything is working in your favor. But sometimes we're storing these fears within us, and fears could come up in your dreams tonight with Saturn playing an influence. Saturn can bring up a lot of fears, could bring you back to old fears that maybe are playing out in your life right now again. Bawling for unknown reason in a dream was kind of strange. again, maybe it's something your subconscious really wants to let out. Like crying can be super cathartic, and it doesn't even have to be for a particular reason. It can just release stored emotion, and maybe your subconscious was telling you, you gotta let that out, man. Like just give yourself permission in waking life. Throw on The Notebook, throw on Marley and Me, something that makes you cry, and just have that nice cathartic release for no reason at all. Happened twice last week. Wow, yeah. So did you cry in real life though, is the question. And is there part of you that kind of wants to? All right, so those are the transits today. It's all about the first quarter moon. Now I'm going to take you through a very quick little horoscope for each sign, just because I already wrote them out, and then I was like, you know what? I might as well share with you. So I'm not going to do a full breakdown like I normally do, but something to keep in mind as you are starting to take action. All right, so let's start with Virgo. Since this first quarter moon is in Virgo, most Virgo risings, and remember to refer to your rising sign if you know it rather than your sun sign. If not, just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But if you are a Virgo rising, this first quarter moon is probably happening in your first house. So this can really activate your sense of self, your sense of purpose. Whatever moves you're making right now, Virgo rising, make sure they reflect the truth of who you are. Your actions are going to speak louder than words right now. So if you're a Virgo rising, whatever actions feel natural to you are likely symbolic of who you are at your core. And make sure that whatever actions you're taking align with your purpose, your identity, and your truth. Leo risings. This first quarter moon is going to land in your second house. So this is your house of income, possessions, of values. My message to you, Leo risings, is that the things you want are actually closer than you think. But in order to attract them, you really have to own your worth, align with your values. Make sure whatever moves you're making, whatever steps you're taking under the first quarter moon, you're going to want to jump into action, but reflect on your values and own your worth before you make those moves. Cancer risings. This first quarter moon is in your third house of communication. So having conversations about your next steps could bring you some clarity. Even doing a little bit more research, if you're not feeling 100% confident in the direction you're heading, take a moment. Do a little research, read from a book, Google some things online, even connecting with other people over social media who maybe are farther ahead on the path that you're thinking about walking. Having those conversations with people who you trust, people who are close to you, getting some feedback, not letting that feedback dominate what you do, but just having somebody or some information to bounce what you want off of can help you get more clarity and figure out exactly what you want moving forward and what steps to take. What are going to be the most effective steps to take based on other people's experiences? Gemini risings. This first quarter moon is landing in your fourth house. Clear your space, clean your home if you haven't already. The fourth house is the house of home and family. So creating that safe space, surrounding yourself with your closest people who love you are going to give you the confidence to move forward, to take those steps. And Gemini risings, you might be feeling like a little chaotic. There's a lot going on during Gemini season. You might even be just feeling yourself in general because the sun's moving through your first house. But getting grounded under this first quarter moon in the earth sign of Virgo, making sure that you are acting from a place of clarity, a physical environment of clarity, meaning one that's not a complete disaster, can help you. So you just don't have as much mental chatter when you are trying to decide what you want and what to do. I find, at least personally, but again, I am a Virgo rising and a Virgo, so this might just be me. But when my environment is cleaner, I can work from a messy environment. Don't get me wrong, not all Virgos are clean freaks. But when I feel like my home is in a peaceful state, when I feel like my environment is peaceful, it gives me a lot more clarity on what I want to do moving forward. All right, Taurus risings. Whatever your next step is, whatever you're thinking about doing next, make sure it brings you closer to joy. This first quarter moon lands in your 5th house, the house of the inner child, of pleasure, of fun, of play. So have fun with it. Even if you're taking like a serious step forward, allow it to be fun. Allow it to be a little bit playful. Tap into that part of you that gets lit up, and make sure whatever steps you're taking are aligning you with the path of joy, are lighting you up, are bringing you closer to happiness, to that childlike wonder. Aries risings. This first quarter moon lands in your 6th house, very on point for the moon in Virgo. It's time for you to make a plan, start a routine, lay the path ahead before you jump into action. If you're an Aries rising, you probably like to jump headfirst into things and just go for it, right? Which is an amazing quality. Not everybody can do that. But this first quarter moon in Virgo really wants you to pay attention to the details and make sure you've got everything in order, you're organized, you're ready to go before you start heading in that direction. So it could look like just taking a pause, reviewing the plan, even writing it out before you decide to take action. That can be really helpful for you. And again, all of these things for each of the signs are going to just bring clarity about whatever steps you're taking, whatever actions you're taking. And the Virgo moon, the first quarter moon in Virgo, loves clarity, loves efficiency, loves to get it done, but wants to do it right. And that's why clarity is a big component here. Pisces and Pisces risings. Partner up. Another person's perspective will make the path ahead easier to navigate, even having someone to walk the path with you. This first quarter moon in Virgo lands in your house of relationships. So maybe it's taking a step in your relationship. Maybe it's moving forward in a relationship, or maybe it's finding someone either romantic or in business or just even a friend to hold your hand as you walk the path, because we know that we're stronger together, and having another person's perspective, having another person's support really can give us the confidence to move forward in the direction of our dreams, to go after the intentions we set under the new moon. Aquarius risings. There is great power behind the actions you're taking right now with this first quarter moon landing in your 8th house, the house of secrecy, of mystery, of depth, of intimacy, of energetic connection and bonds. Tap into your deepest motivations here. Maybe even be willing to look at your fears and what's holding you back from taking those actions. Fear could be coming up for you under this first quarter moon if you're an Aquarius rising, but that fear is actually a way shower. It's here to show you what's holding you back. It's here to show you what's really important to you. Maybe if there's an insecurity coming up, how can you address that? And how can you move forward with confidence despite the fear, or while loving the fear? Because we don't want to just throw our fear out the door, right? We want to make sure that we are paying attention to it, nurturing it, honoring it, and moving forward anyway, right? Knowing that it's there, knowing why it's there to serve us, but knowing that it's not the whole truth. So just know that if your fear feels like it's holding you back, any actions you take right now are so powerful. The 8th house holds a lot of power, Aquarius risings, and you have it in you to do what you want. Don't let fear hold you back. Capricorn risings. The small steps you take right now could catapult you to great heights. The first quarter moon in Virgo lands in your 9th house, and the first quarter moon wants us to be detailed in whatever we're taking right now, whatever we're doing. It's like, pay attention to the details, take all the small little steps. But with the first quarter moon landing in your 9th house, this is an expansive energy for you. Stay curious, be open to new exploration, new adventures, new opportunities, especially as the moon is harmonizing with Uranus today. If there is an opportunity to learn something new, to enroll in a new course, and that feels aligned for you, this is the green light to do it. Maybe book that trip today. The 9th house rules long-term travel, so the action you take now could set you up for whatever trip you want to take or journey you want to go on in a month or 2 months, or reflect back on the intentions you set under the new moon, and then see how can you expand on those by taking small steps today. And above all, stay curious. Sagittarius risings, it's time for you to make some career moves. This first quarter moon is in your 10th house of long-term goals and career. So today's a day where paying attention to the details, being a little bit of a perfectionist, being meticulous, going above and beyond, all things that come more naturally to us under a Virgo moon, doing so will pay off big time for you. So if you are at work or working on a project, just going the extra mile a little bit, or finding a way to better serve whoever it is you're completing this project for, it might be noticed in a big way. And it could be that maybe you're looking for a career change, applying to jobs today, being really meticulous about your resume and filling out all the little boxes on the job applications. That would definitely be favorable for you too if you're a Sagittarius rising. But I really see for you the actions you take today helping you get towards where you want to be in your career or in your long-term goals. Scorpio risings. This first quarter moon is all about putting yourself out there and sharing about causes that are important to you. If you're a Scorpio rising, you kind of like to have your privacy. You like to keep that mask on, keep a little bit of an air of secrecy about you, right? But putting yourself out there, kind of dropping that mask a little bit, making connections with other people is really favored for you as this first quarter moon lands in your 11th house. So Scorpio risings, even just taking to social media or sparking a conversation with somebody else about a cause that's important to you, something that makes you unique or that's really important to you as an individual, you might find that someone else feels the same way or has more information about that cause or cares just as much as you do. And then there's a connection or a community that you are being linked to or getting involved in under this first quarter moon. So be open to new connections. Be willing to put yourself into new communities, whether it's virtual or in person. And don't be afraid to share about what's really important to you, even if it might rock the boat a bit or reveal some of the things that you like to keep behind closed doors. And last but certainly not least, our Libra risings. This first quarter moon lands in your 12th house, the house of endings, closure, healing, spirituality. In order to move forward under this first quarter moon, Libra risings, you might have to release what's weighing you down. There might still be an element of release for you here. It could even just be that rest is the most productive thing you can do for yourself right now if you're a Libra rising. Any actions you take, whether it's actual action or just making the decision to give your body, give your mind rest today, the actions you're taking right now are helping you heal. So keeping healing at the forefront of whatever you're doing, being gentle with yourself and knowing that you can release, you can let go, and by doing so, it can push you forward in the direction you want to go. Sometimes we're working so hard at getting somewhere, doing something that we don't realize what's holding us back or weighing us down. And by letting that go, by healing that, it's going to make it easier to keep moving forward as the moon continues to gain light as we head towards the Sagittarius full moon. So those were your quick little horoscopes for each sign. And I see you guys chatting in the comments. A Dog's Purpose. Is that the movie? Is that what did it? Just let it all out. I haven't watched that yet, but I know it. Anything to do with a dog. I mean, it's just the waterworks all day. Forrest Gump. We just watched Forrest Gump over the weekend. The moon was actually moving through my 12th house over the weekend, and I was very sleepy and restful and just needed some healing. And we watched Forrest Gump, and we were just, if anybody needs a good cry, I encourage you to revisit Forrest Gump. Literally just had that fight with my husband. We both wanted service from the other. Yeah, acts of service are big under the Virgo moon, but our expectations are also very high under a Virgo moon. So it's often like we're thinking about all the ways we serve other people and like, well, why aren't they doing that for us? Why aren't they doing it right? So you're not alone, Katie, and just know that I'm sure you and your husband will actually have a really healing or great conversation coming out of whatever conflict you had. But just remember that we all have higher expectations under the Virgo moon, and a lot of times people don't even know what our expectations are. You know, sometimes there's silent expectations that we just assume our partner or our friends can read our mind. That's actually scary sounding, or should I say exciting? I'm not sure what your rising sign is, but I'm going to hope that it resonated for you. Storyboarding a short film, a great action to take under this first quarter moon. Ooh, really feeling that sticking to my truth piece. Hard to balance that with the Virgo tendency for criticism. Don't I know it? Don't I know it? I am right there with you. Like, this is me. This is me to a T. Yeah. Knowing, though, I think what's helpful for me, especially when I'm being critical of myself or other people, coming back to, what am I here to do? What's my purpose? I'm here to be a channel for love. I'm here to be a force of love. And so it's okay if they're not totally doing it right. How can I? It's still important to express your needs and to express your expectations, right? Because we don't want to assume that people know what we need or know what we want. But how can I do it in a more loving way? How can I maybe show what I want through love rather than just using my rational mind and being a little bit overly critical and analytical and asking, why didn't you do this? You should have done this. Again, it's like that piece that I talked about earlier, using could statements versus should statements can be really healing and really helpful. And don't be too hard on yourself or other people. Like, we are all just trying to get through this life. We're all navigating all sorts of things all the time. So, you know, coming from a place of service, coming from a place of love, that's your truth. And it can be easy to forget that under a Virgo moon. It's so interesting that Virgo is the sign of service and also the sign of criticism. And it really truly comes from a place, I believe, of wanting things to be done well and wanting things to be done right. But remember, my last little Virgo tidbit for you here, because as a Virgo, I reflected a lot on these things. There is no right. There is no right or wrong. There's no right way to do anything. There is a way that you think is right. There's a way that you think is best. And if you have Virgo placements, I mean, you have great taste. So you might be right about that. But just because you think something is the right way to do it, just because you think it's the right way to do it, doesn't mean that that's the right way for everybody else. You operate in a different way than other people do. So just some little food for thought, just spitting out my Virgo nonsense for you in case that helps at all. Bring Kleenex. Bring Kleenex to, what's the movie again? A Dog's Purpose. Yeah. I don't know if I'm brave enough to watch that movie right now. I need to wait for my next 12th house transit when I just really need to cry. That's going to be on my list. Oh, Aquarius rising. So all the shadow work stuff, all the depths and the darkness and the fears that I brought up for you, that makes sense. But I love that you're leaning into creativity, because the 8th house, there's a lot of power, like I said, behind what you're doing right now. And, you know, the greatest things are birthed out of darkness. So being willing to confront your fears, like, what if it's not good? And just doing it anyway, there's a great power behind that for you. All right, some final thoughts about today's energy, and then we'll pull a card. Today's affirmation is, I don't force, I flow. I don't force, I flow. There is that tendency to control, to force our expectations on other people under the Virgo moon. But with this trine to Uranus today, flowing is the easiest way to create change. Allowing is the easiest way for shifts to happen. Open yourself, release control a little bit, and let the universe show you what to do today. That's truly the best way to use this energy. And just know that you're supported every step of the way. All right, we're going to pull from the Queen of the Moon Oracle today, since we're talking so much about the Virgo moon. As I shuffle, you can ask your questions and ask your questions of the universe too. If there's anything you want answered, if there's anything you're looking for clarity on, let this card be the answer. All right. Let's all take one deep breath together. Breathe in. What do we need to know? Guess what card we got? Action. The action card, which is what we have literally been talking about this whole live stream, taking action under the first quarter moon. Let's see, it's card number 15, so let's see what the guidebook has to say. Action. The time has come to take action. Let go of your paralysis. Let go of your burdens step by step. I am responsive and ready to take action. Sometimes we are afraid to move forward. This is natural. Change can be difficult, and if we've been hurt or we've failed before, we're anxious about what might happen if we investigate change. Maybe we think it's easier and safer to just tread some water for a while. Oof, that resonated. Instead of taking joyful action towards the things we truly desire, such as the writing of a book, undertaking study, accepting a new job, or seeking a better relationship, we balk, we freeze, we do not take the steps we could. Ooh, there's that could word, not should, could. We do not take the steps we could. So we remain stagnant. We don't grow. This moon phase encourages us to embrace action. Action is part of our humanity. We are not made to hide and refuse to blossom. Ooh, so juicy. I love this. I know, it's too perfect. It's too perfect. And when I was shuffling, I felt this card, and I just knew that this was our card. So I held on to it. We took the deep breath, and this is what we pulled. Action. The universe is supporting the actions we're taking right now, friends, and treading water is not going to get you where you want to go. Take that inspired, joyful action. Think of all the things that could happen, all the things you could do, rather than the things you should do. And that could help you align with what you really want and align with the direction you're truly supposed to be heading. And the transits support this today. The moon harmonizing with Uranus and the North Node. It's all about shifts. It's all about changes. Innovation is really big with Uranus. So lean into the could, lean into the possibility, let go of the expectation, and let the universe show you what to do. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was so helpful for me. I hope that it was helpful for you as well. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We are getting closer and closer every day to 1,000 subscribers, so we can finally monetize and bring these videos to you for free every single day. And someone also asked, Bree asked, will there be an episode of The Spiritual Journalist this week? Thank you for asking. I love that we got this card and it talked about treading water and being in a holding pattern, because I've really been feeling called to take a break and just take a rest for a couple weeks so I can be a little bit more aligned and intentional with the guests I'm bringing on and the conversations I'm having, not just going through the motions every week. But this card is reminding me to get back into it, to start taking inspired action again. So we will not have an episode this week, but I am hoping to start again next week. Stay tuned. I know you always do. But thank you for asking, and thank you for being curious about it, because, I will admit there's part of me that's like, no one's missing it. It's fine. But it reminds me that there are people who look forward to these conversations, enjoy these conversations, get a lot out of them, and that this is what I'm here to do. So, I appreciate you, and I love to see you in the comments. And The Spiritual Journalist will be back very soon. Thank you for being here, Katie. I appreciate you. And thank you to everyone who showed up for themselves today, who showed up in the comments to support each other today. I love you all. I hope you have the most beautiful Tuesday. I hope you have the confidence to take action towards your dreams today, because you deserve it. I will see you right back here tomorrow morning, but until then, stay curious. thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.